Hey everybody, what's up? It's your friend James Shaw. Thank you so much for choosing to be here this morning as we wrap up week one of listing month here inside Pivot Shift Ahead. Listen, we're committed to making sure you take as many listings as you absolutely possibly can. We have divided this kind of journey, the listing journey, into 5 steps. This week we've been focused on the lead. Next week it's all about getting the appointment. Once you fill leads in the pipeline, what's your follow-up play to get in the door? And if you get in the door, you're likely listing it. So we'll spend 5 whole days on that next week. And by the time we wrap up this series, man, you'll just be taking listings like crazy. You'll just be reverse Oprah. I get a listing. I get a listing. I get a listing. I get a listing. It's going to be great. You're going to be all over it. So we're going to wrap up our lead portion of it today. But before we do that, something good. Bree, good morning.
That's pretty clever, reverse Oprah.
I just made that up right
Um,
there in the spot.
Listen, top tier, top tier. So my something good is so Sunday I have a birthday, and it will be for 2 months where I am 1 year older than you, James.
Significantly older. That's correct.
For 2 months, your time is coming. And my husband, he will be on his way from India today, and then we're turning around and going to Spain for 2 weeks to celebrate. So I will be just hanging out, unplugged, and just immersed in the Spanish culture in La Franque, Spain.
Have a wonderful trip, and
Thank you.
and I hope you remember it while you're there, so that it's a memory you can keep forever. Because Bree is old, y'all. She is
Thank
old.
you very much.
Ira, good morning.
Good morning, everyone. It's just a reminder that we work for a living and
Yeah.
we just have to do our jobs. And at my listing appointment yesterday, which I got because of a QR code that was scanned on one of my just sold postcards, I walked in and used one of the nuggets that we just got here. When I sat down with these people, the wife started talking about how much they hated their previous realtor and all the things that he didn't do. And I basically just calmly apologized on behalf of my industry and all of us. I am so sorry that you went through this, but we're not all alike. And I trust that you're going to really enjoy the experience with me. And the rest of the appointment was great, and the papers are signed, and I've got this beautiful property coming on.
Look at you. That's taking something we talked about this week and having an
Yes.
opportunity to be able to utilize it. That's the entire point of these calls. Ira, good job. Jenny, you get the last one. Good morning, Jenny Hayes.
Good morning, James. I wanted my something good is I have listing signed on listing week, and I 100% attribute it to the points tracker and being consistent. And hopefully that's an encouragement to some folks. I started contact with this person, had one phone call with them back in February, and then I just maintained contact by text. And I was doing my regular lead gen time or conversation contact time this week. And he just popped online and started texting. He'd been not responding over the last few months, and all of a sudden he wanted me to come by, and I wasn't sure if he wanted just a consult or where he was in the process. And within 2 minutes, I realized we were signing a listing, and thankfully I was ready, and we signed, and we're going on market on June 20.
Look at you. You know, you've had quite a run. You've had, how many closings did you have last year, Jenny?
I had 10, 11, including one we closed for our own family.
Okay, so but 10 transactions with the public.
Yes, yes.
You've had how many closings this year?
I've had this week two more, so 9.
9 closings this year, and how many more pending for June?
I have a total of 8 pending, so 6 more to close in June.
How many listings do you have right now?
I have one that is active, and then this one is coming to market.
All right, so you've got 2. But you've taken how many?
This year,
Yep.
I've taken, so this would be 9.
Uh-huh. Substantial growth, yes?
Yes.
Why? How? What do you attribute it to?
Oh, 100, James, this community and all of the offshoots of it, the being on this call is essential for me. I was speaking to someone about it the other day. You know, it takes 10,000 hours to be an expert, and I get to mine from all of you, all of this expert advice on a daily basis. It's just such a gift. And then the Inspire group, the playbooks, the in-person events are beyond amazing. And then, you know, from it, there are, you know, Tyler there's many conversation calls, practice, script, role play. I joined Tyler Wentz one after this call almost every day. And then you can lead gen in community. And there's the one that I do is with Kristen Jungles, and it's fantastic. It's just a small thing, but just uh, being consistent. It's 4 days a week, 1 to 2 hours a day, and it's resulted 100% in business.
You've had massive growth that you're attributing to the being on the free pivot call, which all of you are on, being part of Inspire, which is paid, yes, but you're taking the stuff you learn and the tools you learn. You mentioned the tracker, and then getting involved in the other free calls, Tyler's script call, Kristen's lead gen call. Look, success comes to those who are obsessed with consistency. In other words, they don't pop in and pop out. They don't, okay, I'm going to get on the pivot call today and then I'll come back again in October. Like, that's not going to work. You might as well just not come, honestly. But to be on 3 days a week, if you can be on 3 days a week, three weeks a month, be on one Inspire call a month, implement one strategy from Inspire a quarter, then now we're getting into momentum. And that's what's happening for Jenny right there. I'm so proud of you. Well done. Well done, my friend. Keep it rolling. Jenny's taking listings and you're going to take listings too. We broke it down into the five steps in the listing journey, which is what we're covering all month. Capture the lead right now. Convert to the appointment is next week. The week after that, we'll do winning the listing. So we'll talk about listing presentations and appointments. Market and manage, because that's a whole deal in and of itself. And then close and create future business. Now, this week, we have spent time on Monday. We talked all about making sure your lead gen time is really seller focused. So that was Monday's call. Next, we talked about earning listing referrals from your sphere of influence. That was Tuesday. Wednesday was about making your social media be something that attracts listing leads to you. Thursday, yesterday, was about your vendors and your strategic partners and earning listing opportunity from them. And this week, and today rather, we're talking open houses. And I want you to think of open houses as a listing lead strategy. Because I think a lot of us look at it and we go, in fact, we'll even say, what's the play for an open house? And we'll say things like, put out as many signs as possible, have cookies, do this, do that. And it still is buyer focused. But what would you do differently if you thought the entire purpose of the open house was to attract listing leads? You know, on the front end, here's what it allows you to do, by the way, in the neighborhood. It gets you to showcase your marketing ability to potential sellers. You get to earn trust inside of that community. And you get to have real conversations with actual real live people, which is totally strange, that might turn into some listing opportunity for you. Like those of you who complain about, oh, it was just a bunch of neighbors. Actually, I would love it if that's all it were. What if those are the only people who came into your open house were neighbors? That would be a successful open house. So what are some things we can do? I broke it into 3 pieces that I'll walk through with you: before, during, and after. Duh. Before, if you want a seller listing focused, I think you've got a door knock. I think Byron would agree with this, and Irene would agree with this. You've got a door knock, I don't know, 50, 100 homes. I don't really care how many. I've always said 100 because I just think that gets your attention. I think if you knock 100 doors, you'll talk to 30 people. And you invite them to the open house. And then you might say something like, you know, we find that neighbors often either know someone who'd like to live here or may even be thinking about selling themselves. See, that last sentence, you probably said the first sentence when you door knocked. Who do you know that might like to live in the neighborhood? But are you saying the second half? Or maybe even thinking of selling themselves? That would be one, right? That would be a door knock opportunity. Number 2 is during the open house. How many of you have a sign-in? Put it in the chat. Do you use a sign-in sheet or app or something like that? Put it in the chat. And do you have a question on there that says, do you have a home that you need to sell before buying? Just a simple yes or no. Do you have a home you need to sell before buying? And make sure that you ask that question because they check yes or no, and now you know of a potential listing lead. When neighbors come in, how many of you had the neighbors come in? And the neighbors come in, and pay attention to neighbors who ask you, well, what do you think this one might sell for? Or They are asking your opinion on the market. Well, what's going on in the market right now? Or how does this one compare, you think, to that one? They're asking you to compare down the street. When they ask questions like that, pay attention and you could say, gosh, it really sounds like you're staying on top of the market. Have you thought about what your home might be worth? Like, just listen and they're going to give you clues. Wow, you're really staying on top of the market. Are you curious about what your home might be worth? And then do you have, those of you who do open houses, do you have like do you take, like, do you remember the science fair? Did y'all, Julie Hess, did you do science fair in Pennsylvania? Was that a thing? Is science fair? And you have your little board. What if you took like your science fair board and you had examples of the marketing that you do? The before and after photos of listings, that you have some stats about how your list to sale price versus the market. And then you have a QR code on there where someone could scan to find out what their own home value is. Just an idea. Are you doing your follow up when you follow up? Because if you're not following up for an open house, then what's the point of the open house? When you're following up, every single person that comes in, are you asking them, are you curious about the value of your home and sending an equity analysis? And that is your follow up. In fact, you could do it right there live. You know, as people are coming in and out, if it's a slow open house, just do it right then in front of them. We're just sharing ideas. I want to hear yours. How do you turn your open house into a magnet for seller leads? Karen Bond, hello.
Good morning. I've been doing a lot of door knocking. I farm my area. The event I'm doing right now is an animal towel drive to the local domestic animal services. And I've got a listing on Monday from door knocking I've done in the past. And so when I'm doing a open house, I haven't door knocked those streets around this particular home. I'm going to go around and just say, hey, I'm doing a towel drive. Why don't you come down to my open house? And if you've got anything to donate, you can bring it to me. So I'm trying to get the neighbors involved. And obviously, because everybody's got old towels and sheets and stuff that they no longer need. So I'm trying to get people in to donate and to take a look at the open house. Because, like you said, neighbors always know friends and family members who want to live in their neighborhood.
And now you get to add people to the database. You might get to do a couple of equity analysis. You might get to build a little bit of relationship. Karen, whatever it takes. Julie Hess, good morning.
Good morning. Well, this has become my thing. And I put a lot of thought into everything I do and a lot of strategy into everything I do. And I think what is making ours successful, no, I'm going to say, I know what makes our open houses successful is the fact that it hits the market with an open house. So we have one on Sunday. It hit the market this morning. No one gets to see it until they show up at 1 o'clock. So anybody that's putting it active on Monday with the hopes to have a great open house on Sunday, they've already seen it. It's like, I want to go out to dinner tonight, pick a restaurant. How about this? Nope, this, nope, this, nope. It's process of elimination. So make that your grand opening, and that does drive a lot of people through and the agents. And then once we're there, we're old fashioned. I tried the computer, I do a paper. And the reason why I do a paper sign in, it stops them. They have to take time to write. And while they're writing, where did you travel from today? What brought you to this home? What caught your attention? Like, think of really strategic questions. Have you been in the market long? Yeah, we wrote 3 offers. Oh my golly, who's writing those offers for you? Susie Q. Oh, she's an amazing agent. Yada, 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 yada. And then I know, and so your neighbors are coming in and they are seeing what you do different. And then the other thing I wanted to share the other day was we've been charting this, tracking it, because James, you have us tracking everything. And 9 out of 10 of our listings, we meet the buyers there. We had a conversation. So now when their agents calling us, we have the upper hand on negotiation because I just spent 20 minutes chatting with your buyer. So also keep that in mind, is that you're going to meet the buyer for the home. But that's what's pulling about 20 to 30 people. And I just think I'll never, ever, ever sit at an open house once a home's been on the market. Never.
I love, by the way,
One open house.
real quick, I love the paper sign-in sheet because then you can control what happens. People will follow the person
Mhm.
ahead of them on the
Mhm.
sheet. And a
Mhm.
lot of people are saying in the chat, well, I have a sheet, but no one fills it out. I don't really care. That's not a thing to worry about.
Mhm.
We don't put out a sheet. We don't stop putting out the sheet because no one fills it out. That's silly. But what you do is after no one fills it out, then you go fill it out for them. Just go put a phone number,
Yeah.
go put an email address, go put in, do I have a house to sell? Just write yes. Am I curious about the value of my home? Write yes. Just go fill it in after they leave. You know what you wrote in and what you didn't, but then people will follow the one in front. Julie, I see you. People will follow the one in the front. Yeah, put a fake one in first, as Jordana's telling you. But I like paper because people will just naturally kind of fill in whatever blanks were already filled in. Go ahead, Julie.
Yep. And the other thing, because we think about, okay, what didn't work? What worked? How can we change it? So we have a laminated 8x10 on the front door. Welcome, come in, view the home. Sellers ask that you sign in before you proceed. So everybody signs in. And my brother's always the first one. That's my fake person.
Right, exactly.
And then if the second person doesn't do an email, get over there and do an email because they'll follow whatever. And if somebody's really sloppy, I'll say, I can't read that. I mean, have fun with it. And then they chuckle and they laugh. And the other trick too for us guys, if you're a single agent, grab somebody from the office. I don't leave my post. So I have one or two other people that do the open house with me because the most important post is as soon as they walk in. That sets the pace.
This is an example. An open house is a great example of when we mistake movement for achievement sometimes. That we think that because we're doing something, we're succeeding, when the truth is it's about how you're doing it that determines whether or not you succeed. Julie, thank you. Dean Moss, good morning.
Hey, good morning, James. Thanks so much for the opportunity. One little thing that I thought everybody did, and then I realized they didn't, know the specific micro neighborhood like the back of your hand before you start meeting people in an open house. So in my neighborhood, I know the four streets that kind of separate us from the next neighborhood over. So I'll know everything that's been sold, for sale, contemplating sale if I know them, whatever it is, and I keep that in my head, kind of like a script. So when you see somebody and you start talking to them, you say, "Hey, are you aware there's a house that just sold for X? It's 2 blocks over on Manson Avenue. Hey, you aware about this one on Leonard Street?" In other words, you know the neighborhood, even if it's not yours. Study it, because then you could talk to the people in their language. Understand you're from a position of knowledge. That's what they're looking for. So I just wanted to share that.
Thank you, Dean. Tyler, good morning.
Good morning, James. So when doing open houses, one of the things I find most effective is just like Ronnie DiCarlo, lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of signs. I put out 57 signs, directional signs to drive people to the open house. And even when everybody else is complaining there's nobody visiting the open house, I get 23 and 30 visitors because people who are simply thinking about but haven't yet entered the market, their RAS picks up the sign on the side of the road and if they have 15 minutes, they say, look over at their spouse and say, honey, let's go check this out. We've got some time. You've been thinking about buying a house. I agree with the paper sign-in sheet, and I've gotten away from that simply because I've had sketchy realtors come in to the open house, and I caught one taking a picture of the sign-in sheet with everybody's name and email on it. And so I transitioned to a digital sign-in sheet that I've actually gotten more engagement with and more accurate information. The way that I get more of the best information is I have a survey for the people that come through the house. And when they enter the house, I say, hey, where did you come from? Just like Julie has said, easy to answer question. Not what brought you in, but where did you come from today? Because it's not judgmental and it's easy to answer. And I give them the survey so they can give the seller feedback about what they think about the price, condition, staging, and everything else. And when they fill that out, it gives me something to talk to them about. And if it's not my listing, then I have information to provide the listing agent on what people coming in the open house actually think about the open house. And it's valuable for both the listing agent and the seller.
Great job. I love your questions today. Thanks for everything you're doing in this community. Where did you come from is such a good question. Oh yeah, we live down the street. Listen for that stuff. Like the neighbor, honestly, the neighbor is who you want. The more neighbors who walk in, the better. And your ability to listen about what brought them or where they came from and what brought them in and what they're curious about and the questions they ask, go back to what I brought up on the front end of the call and listen for those key questions so you can respond appropriately and start to build relationship. Remember, the purpose of the open house is to get listing leads. That is the sole purpose. Frank, good morning.
Good morning, everyone. I just greet people simply, where'd you come from? What brings you out today? I do have a paper sign-in sheet. It's individualized, and all the questions for what they think of the house and all are up on top. I don't ask for their personal information to the bottom. When I find that people get going through the sheet, they're enthused of whatever their responses are. And I love the neighbors because they will give you more information about the neighborhood you're in. A lot of them do know people that are looking to buy or sell. So you create a network. And the last open house I did, I had this lady come in. She was a neighbor. And she says, I'm not selling my house and all. I said, that's okay. I said, come on in. And we got into a conversation. And I said to her, I said, how would you like to know what your house is worth? She says, yeah, maybe, And anyways, we continued to talk for a bit, and we left it then. I was going to send her, a analysis of what her house is worth. About 20 minutes after she left, she says, by the way, she says, do you have time after you finish up the open house? I said, yeah. She says, stop by my house. I want you to come in and look at it and give me a more exact price. And I did. And the house was absolutely gorgeous. And we got to meet her husband and all, and we're following up. They're still not looking to sell, but I got a raving fan because she's now, everybody she knows in the neighborhood, she's telling them about me. So
That's the point.
in
I
my
mean, the bottom
contact
line is that's the point. Folks, I want you to go and ask, is what I'm doing with this open house going to bring me listing leads or not? Boy, we've got 10 hands up and we're out of time. I am so sorry that we're not going to have a chance to get to everybody today who's got an idea. But I hope that this first week of listing month has been helpful. Put an emoji in the chat. Put an emoji in the chat to describe what you've gotten out of this week, because we're all about filling up the pipeline. Next week, it's all about getting the appointment. There'll be some overlap, right? Because getting the appointment is about managing the pipeline and having the right follow-up plays. So that's what we'll do all of next week. By the way, did you see the listing inventory data that came out yesterday? I posted it on my Instagram, James D. Shaw. So go check it out on Instagram. Folks, when I tell you that you need more listings, the data that came out yesterday proved it. Now, I know some of you are in markets that are moving so fast, you're like, oh my gosh, it is still 2022. And I'm telling you, listing inventory is up year over year in every single state in this country. So even if it's still really low by you, it's still up and probably up double digits. And so you have to recognize that the market is literally changing in front of our eyes. And those who are doing the things that they're supposed to do will be the ones who win. Opportunity shows up in transition, and we are in transition. Take advantage of the opportunity. I posted something about it on my Instagram this morning, so you can go watch it. Thanks for a great week. We'll be back next week. You got your inspiration. Go put in the perspiration. See you Monday. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Have a
Thanks,
great
James.
weekend.
Good weekend.